You went from make sure you wear oven mitts to off to cutting a paper pattern, and what kind of a mold or when you get it out of the oven and it's fluffy, do you have like a positive to lay it on?
That'll be on the next one.
All right.
Yeah, I'll show that off later. This is my story.
Oh.
I use anything that I can. I'll use cardboard.
Okay, so we'll talk about a number of things. I want to sort of kind of talk about kit bashing. She mentioned it. So this is Star Wars. This is a little blaster, which, if you look at it really closely, is really just kit bash pieces together. So even the most venerable movies that we all know and love are doing the same thing the steampunk people are doing now, with pretty much the same pieces. I mean, it's as much parts just kind of bolted on. From where to start, and this also addresses this gentleman's question back there, I would highly recommend hitting dollar stores, thrift stores, the cheap section. Look for cheap plasticky bits. Hit yard sales. I mean, spring's coming eventually, whenever it doesn't stop snowing. Squirt guns, Nerf guns. All these things are really good base materials. As to how to build up this body of knowledge, she's done extensive work. But really, it's experiment. So if you get like 5 cheap squirt guns, destroy 4 of them first until you get your really good one. I mean, they were $1 a piece, so how can you really go wrong? Never throw anything away. My wife hates this. Got a box in the garage that's full of all different lamps, computers, everything. All that stuff is raw materials for prop making. Lamps.
All the other bits of the candles the candlesticks I didn't use, are in a big trunk that's really heavy.
So always hang on to all those pieces, because everything. This is something that I did from like very, very young, which I'm sure drove my mother nuts. So I took everything apart. I wanted to know how it worked. About in my 30s, I started actually being able to put it back together. That's where I started doing. So start with your plastic piece. Get your different types of paints. Go to the hardware stores. Just pick out what looks good. The reason I say buy 5 cheap ones is because paint reacts weirdly with other paint, especially Krylon fusion and everything else. If I put regular paint over Krylon, it cracks weirdly, which can be cool unless you want a smooth surface.
Right.
And a really important thing is vinyl. Vinyl, you got to be really, really picky what paint to use, because it has oils in it to make it flexible. You put the wrong paint on it, it's sticky forever.
Always clean, especially if you got it from a thrift store. Always clean your plastic really well so that you know stuff's going to stick to it. Because if it's got, the price tag or whatever, that adhesive's going to mess up your finish.
I suggest Goo Gone get the adhesive off and then use 409 to clean all the dirt
Clean it
and
really
oils
well.
and everything.
Right, and then either a primer coat, or the nice thing about Krylon Fusion is it's meant to stick to plastic.
Right.
So most of it works pretty well.
Got a question in the back?
Yes, I was trying to incorporate into some precious metal clay. My first question is, do you guys know any local suppliers of precious metal clay? Number 1. Number 2, I've never actually used it as an incorporated piece. It's always been standalone. Do you know if it melts when you expose it to certain glues, or there's an, oh my god, don't ever do this with that?
Precious metal clay is actually metal. Once
there's
you
polymer in there to make sure.
You're getting rid of the polymer when you're doing the baking process. So what you're ended up with is mostly metal.
Yeah,
so it
it's
should be inert.
Okay.
If you're at all worried, you can put a clear coat of something where the glues will go, to sort of like sheath that. But I really wouldn't worry about it with precious metal clay.
So it wouldn't melt at the first drop of glue.
No, but that's awful real spendy way to go.
Yeah, test it.
We're talking about painting silver.
You get a little tiny
One of
for $30.
One of the
We'll
things
kind of
for
like that,
glue
pretty
that
much.
works fairly
Way
easily, and if you're gonna make props, this is gonna be a tool that's invaluable, is a hot glue gun. If you don't know about a hot glue gun, go to your craft store, buy a hot glue gun.
Hot glue guns are good, but I would recommend the E6000 because hot glue is temperature sensitive. The whole
Yes.
point was that you heated it. So if somehow you leave it in the trunk of your car, you might have two different
Yeah.
pieces again.
Yeah.
So,
The other thing would be double-sided tape, is a nice little trick, because if you put double-sided tape, flat surface to flat surface, it ain't gonna go nowhere.
Hot glue also tends to fall off the very glossy surfaces.
right.
It's not really making a glue connection like E6000, it's more of a mechanical seal.
Right.
So it really sticks better if something that's porous, or if you can drill little holes in
Yeah,
it,
it's
it
good
oozes
for
through.
hat making more than prop making.
Yeah.
Most glue connections are best if you do a little rough up with sandpaper.
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
to give all, just a
More porous.
perfect smooth surface, nothing's gonna attach it. So a quick rough of sandpaper on either side. will
That
work.
goes for painting too. Take something like a green scrubby pad,
Gotcha.
after you've cleaned it, and screen iron or scotch.
But I mean, if you
Scotch
can
pad
imagine
scrub a
trying
little bit.
to rough up, every single bit of something this complicated.
Well, the nice thing is you don't have to, because the stuff that's down in the crevices is gonna get knocked into.
Right, but I'm just saying that part of the reason I like the Krylon and other paints is that I don't have to go through and sand all of this like I used to.
Well, I overdo everything.
Okay. If you're having a good time, have at it.
Next question in the back.
Also another suggestion as far as materials go, we need either a thick clear coat or solid molded pieces or clear, really clear anything. There's a two-part resin called Envirotex. It's used for a lot of different crafts. It's actually originally, it's meant for sealing boat holes. But it's a two-part crystal clear epoxy resin. Really good stuff, pretty strong, dry, and when it cures, it is glass.
One thing, just because we're talking about plastics and whatnot, is, again, Tap Plastic knows me by name. But you can go there and you can ask them for help. When you walk into a store that sells this sort of stuff, you can go in there, ask them for help. A lot of times they'll have little brochures that will tell you how to work this stuff. They'll give you this or that. I walked in there and said, okay. And they said, well, these are hard to come by, but, if you're needing any help, they'll tell you how. They also have things that are like two different types of fluid. You pour them together fairly quick. They're going to turn into a solid. You just need to let them